Welcome to Lorology. Sure, other online courses might talk about stuff like art or philosophy, but here we talk about equally important things. Things like magic chickens, stinky boys, and chainsaw demons. I'm Loricus the Lore Master, and with me as always are my faithful students Seth and Brady. Say hi, boys!
Hi, boys!
Now, before we start today's lesson, I have to ask, do any of you boys have inner demons?
Every damn day.
So say we shall not speak their names.
We don't give them power.
Well, I've got a very special lesson in mind for you guys today about just that thing. Because today, we'll be returning to the grim darkness of Warhammer 40k to look at the ruinous powers of chaos.
Is this gonna bring up my inner demons?
Yeah. Am I gonna have to go to a therapy session after this?
Don't worry, boys. With the help of this handy-dandy grimoire, I've constructed these protective circles to keep those pesky demons away. Yes, with this, we'll be able to... Oops, minor setback. I'll just get these back up and we can... That's probably fine. On to the lesson! Now, to understand the forces of chaos, we first need to understand where they come from. In the universe of Warhammer 40k, there exists another dimension layered just on top of our visible reality. This dimension is called the Warp, also known as the Materium, and it is a dimension of pure thought and emotion. Normally, we can't even see it, but it's there, superimposed on our material universe. And every day, our thoughts and feelings both shape and are shaped by it.
Well, it's kind of like, you know, we see in 3 dimensions, but there's the idea that
Of
there's
the fourth,
of the 4th dimension.
And there's so much debate about like what that is.
But there isn't really talk about like how that dimension can affect ours. I really like that idea.
Now, an important thing to understand is that the warp is directly impacted by emotion and thought, which means someone feeling particularly powerful emotion can have a very tangible effect in the warp, like ripples in a lake. But if you get enough people together, you can turn that ripple into a tidal wave, which is why warp activity tends to rise as populations do. More people feeling more emotions means more changes in the warp.
I'd like to see some sort of, okay, and tell me if this doesn't work, but like could you be haunted by like your own
like your own thoughts?
Your own thoughts?
You absolutely could, and that's a thing that happens to psychers all the time.
So like your own thoughts become the things that kind of haunt you in like a very real way?
Right.
Between the time we were living in caves and throwing rocks at mammoths, to the time we were chilling in the stars with our robo-butlers, something changed. Certain nasty impulses in our heads started to get a little nastier. Our species had always felt anger, sadness, greed, and ambition, but thanks to medicine, trade, and all those good things that got us out of our caves, there were more people feeling more of it. With lots of people feeling those same nasty notions, the warp began to curdle and congeal. Bit by bit, these negative impulses literally took on lives of their own. These bad thoughts would slip into people's dreams and influence them to act on their worst impulses. With every act of hatred, greed, apathy, and deceit, these rogue, self-perpetuating thoughts became stronger, dubbing themselves the gods of chaos.
The weakest they ever are is when they're first formed.
Yep.
Because after that, with each subsequent emotion, like every time they show themselves and get belief, people fear them, and that feeds back into their power.
Like elf.
Yeah.
They become a self... It literally becomes a vicious spiral.
They're like Santa?
Now, for a while, these gods kept to their side of the warp. The worst they could do was influence dreams, gently nudging people to act on their worst thoughts. But then we get to the Eldari. These space elves had a much stronger presence in the warp, which meant that their emotions could much more easily change it. They were no stranger to thoughts or emotions becoming self-aware. In fact, they cultivated these thoughts like a garden, creating pantheons of deities to assist them in anything they might need. But as they became more advanced, their culture started to shift towards self-gratification at the expense of other species they deemed lesser. Greedy for these new sensations and careless for the suffering of others, the Eldari accidentally created a new chaos god. But since the Eldari had such a big presence in the warp, the birth of this particular god was especially traumatic. So much so that it caused a rip in space that allowed the warp to ooze into reality. This rip called the Eye of Terror, roused the other gods to action, ushering in an age of chaos.
What we decided during the lore G on the Eldari is that they're the cause.
They're the universe's biggest assholes.
Well, ladies and gentlemen, may I present to you the Chaos Gods. First off, there's Khorne. Khorne may be the oldest of the Chaos Gods, and he's fueled by rage, hatred, war, and violence. Khorne's the ultimate jock. He doesn't care about stuff like plans or subtlety or having more than one brain cell. That's nerd stuff. In fact, Khorne has only 2 commandments, which also double as a prayer and battle cry. Blood for the Blood God! Skulls for the Skull Throne! Khorne's domain in the Warp looks like a heavy metal album come to life. It is a realm of eternal warfare, where demons clash with bullet and blade, murdering one another for ultimate supremacy. There's also a couple of orcs in there. They're not demonic or anything, they're just having a good time.
It's like an amusement, dude. Orcs are fucking metal. They're like, I'll go to the demon plane and fuck around a little bit. Why not? Seems like a good time.
But moving on to the next god, there's the Prince of Plague, the Sultan of Stink, Nurgle, god of illness and despair. Nurgle loves you just the way you are. Exactly the way you are. Why hassle with things like eating healthier, taking showers, or overcoming your problems when you can just sit in your couch and slowly succumb to entropy? If you've ever been in a really bad depression spiral after, say, losing your job or a bad breakup, chances are you've had a brush with dear old Papa Nurgle. His realm is a vast, rotting garden, where he brews new and wonderful diseases to burden the minds and rack the bodies of both his foes and his faithful. To Nurgle, illness and depression are a gift, and he's more than happy to share with anyone and everyone.
I like him. I've had a couple brushes with Nurgle in my day.
I think it's safe to say we all have, but he's, Nurgle also, like, I can't help myself. Nurgle sounds like something cute and fluffy. It sounds like some sort of little tiny creature that, like, I don't know, just walks around and, like, stuffs gold coins into a pouch it has.
But next, let's go to his opposite. In sharp contrast to Nurgle is Tzeentch, god of deception, ambition, change, and sorcery. Tzeentch may be the most alien of the 4 gods, as his very nature demands he be mercurial and hard to pin down. Tzeentch is the ultimate hustler, constantly working new angles and new schemes to tip the scales in his favor. While most of his worshippers tend to be thieves, liars, politicians, and con men, he's also very popular with sorcerers and witches. Tzeentch loves magic, after all. What is magic if not the art of forcing the world to change around your own ambition?
Alright, might have a new favorite. Tzeentch, magic, mysterious. Yeah, I feel like Tzeentch wears a black leather jacket and greases his hair.
Finally, there's Slaanesh, god of greed, obsession, and hedonism. Slaanesh is one of the only gods whose origins we know for a concrete fact, having been created by the Eldari during the height of their power. To Slaanesh and their followers, nothing matters but one's own personal gratification, no matter who else has to suffer. Slaanesh's realm is one of infinite pleasure and eternal agony. Slaanesh promises riches, power, and glory, and no matter how much is given or taken, it's never enough. So, basically Hellraiser.
It's like Burning Man and Coachella made a drug-infused, alcohol-infested baby.
And then started torturing you.
Yeah!
So, what's keeping these gods from flooding into our reality and turning everything into a big smelly murder sundae with wizards and Goldschlager on top? Well, while gods can do plenty in the warp, if they were to cross over into our reality, they would survive about as well as a fish could survive in the Sahara. These are, after all, creatures of pure thought, which means unless the area is soaked through with warp energy, they can't so much as lift a finger. What's more, they're also constantly fighting for dominance over one another in a conflict they call the Great Game. So, why are they such a threat? Well, one answer is that every Chaos God employs demons. Demons are little fragments of a god's will that have been endowed with their own level of self-awareness and determination. Demons constantly vie for the attention and favor of their creators, netting souls for their dark master, which in turn fuels their respective god's power in a kind of demonic pyramid scheme. Demons also take less warp energy to manifest, so while bigger demons like Unclean Ones or Bloodthirsters might need a mass sacrifice to summon, Lesser demons might just need one person to call them in. You don't even have to be doing it voluntarily. There's a lot of problems where, like, a psyker will think the wrong thing, or a psychic ability could go wrong, and a demon could just use that as an opportunity to bridge over into reality.
Damn.
Oh, that's scary.
Magic is very fucked in this universe.
Can you imagine, like, having that power, though? Like, imagine you're, like, out with your friends, maybe you have a couple of drinks, stray thought, and then boom, demon at the party!
But demons aren't the only tools in a dark god's arsenal. As I said before, gods and demons just love slipping into people's dreams and tempting them with promises of power and glory. Those who accept their offer and start worshipping these gods usually get some sort of reward. These rewards can be anything from psychic powers, to superhuman abilities, to powerful relics and weapons. These gifts almost always come with little strings attached, though. I mean, they're called chaos demons, not chaos cool guys who give you stuff for free.
It seems like the mob sort of thing. Once you're in, they squeeze you.
That's true.
Especially faithful worshippers may even get a chance to prove their worth to their dark masters directly by clashing against other chaos worshippers. These cosmic-level tournament arcs are known as the Path to Glory! Those who climb the rungs are lavished with powerful gifts and boons from their patron gods, and those who are fortunate enough to survive become demon princes. A demon prince is basically a human who's had their soul ripped out of their body and replaced with pure warp matter, turning them into powerful, nigh-omnipotent psychic warriors. Of course, if you fail to become a demon prince, chances are you'll end up an oozing mass of mutilated flesh called a chaos spawn, but nobody ever said the chaos gods had to be fair. But here's where things get interesting. See, for all the doom, madness, and strife, there is some whisper of nuance to chaos. Sure, Nurgle may spread disease and dismay, but his worshippers and greater demons seem to legitimately care about one another. Khorne might be a blood-drunk, skull-obsessed maniac, but many of his most devout worshippers have strong senses of honor. Tzeentch's call for change and growth speaks to the ideals of hope and promises of the future, while some of Slaanesh's daemonettes seem to be capable of expressing real love, and albeit in their own strange and terrifying way.
They chill in my movie.
They chill. We were sleeping on them.
But each of the four gods have their own deep lore, rich with legends, heroes, monsters, and madness. Even now, we've only just scratched the surface. There's still plenty to learn about, like the Emperor's sons who turned to chaos and became demon primarchs, Khorne's favorite orcs, Sylesk and their fairy tale romance in the realm of Slaanesh, and even how Nurgle has his own big demonic Santa Claus. But I'm afraid that's all the time we have for today's lesson. But if you're going to take anything from today's lecture, let it be...
Hey, Lorcus. You doing alright?
Yeah, I'm fine. Why, what's up?
You just, you look a little different.
No, it's not.
What? Do I have something on my face? It's probably fine. Hey, you guys want to get lunch after this? I'm thinking soul food. Sorry. Something in my throat there.
My cat's dying.
Yeah,
Oh.
and I ate like so much,
Yeah.
so much. So maybe next
We'll
time.
see you next class, right?
Yeah.
Rain check. We'll rain check.
Yeah. Okay.
Sure.
But if you're going to take anything from this lecture, let it be this: demons are people too. I've been Loricus the Lore Master. Class dismissed.